I used to think I knew everything about the land where I was born. The paths between the huts, the smell of the morning fire, the rhythm of the river after rain. I believed nothing in my village could surprise me. But that was before the night the elders whispered my name and told me to follow them into the darkness. Before the night my baby was chosen. It began with a silence so heavy it pressed against my skin. The entire village seemed to hold its breath. Even the wind stopped moving. I remember stepping out of my hut and seeing the women gathered outside, their faces lit by weak lantern light. No one smiled. No one spoke. They only watched me, as if waiting for something sacred to begin. My husband stood behind them. His expression was hard to read, fear hiding behind pride, pride hiding behind something deeper. He looked at me the way a man looks at a truth he cannot escape. "We must go," one of the elders said. Just those 3 words. Nothing more. I followed them through the quiet paths of the village, my hands resting on my stomach, feeling the faint stir of the child who hadn't yet been born but already changed the air around me. The women walked fast, their feet barely making sound on the packed earth, as though they knew the path by memory, or by instinct. I glanced back once and saw my husband trailing behind us. He kept a careful distance, like someone who was allowed to witness but not interfere. That was the first moment I realized. This night was not about him. It was about me. About the child inside me. And about a truth older than both of us. We walked until the village lights faded into darkness and the forest swallowed us. The trees stretched above like tall, silent watchers. The ground grew colder under my feet. I recognized this part of the forest, not because I had been here, but because of the stories. Every child in my tribe grows up hearing the same warning whispered by mothers at night. Do not go near the red grove. It chooses who enters, and who does not. The elders stopped when the trees opened into a small clearing. Moonlight poured down, pale and soft, illuminating the earth in a way that felt unnatural, too still, too calm, too aware. At the center of the clearing stood a massive stone, flat and smooth, like the surface of a giant table carved by the hands of time itself. I felt my breath catch. This was the stone of birth. The place where the ancestors were believed to touch the newborn spirit. The place no one spoke of openly. The place forbidden except on nights like this. One elder took my hand. Her palm was warm, steady. "Your child must be blessed here," she said softly. "He was called before he was even conceived." Her words struck me like cold water. "Called?" I repeated. "By whom?" She didn't answer. But her eyes flicked toward my husband. I turned to him. He stood still at the edge of the clearing, staring at the stone with a tension in his jaw I had never seen before. He looked trapped. Like a man living inside a truth he never wanted to accept. My heart began to pound. "Tell me," I said to him. My voice trembled. "Why are we here?" He didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't even blink. Instead, the elder guided me toward the stone. The moment my hand touched the surface, a strange warmth spread through my fingers, up my arm, into my chest. Not magical, just deeply familiar, like the earth itself recognized me. I placed both hands on the stone and exhaled. The forest around me felt alive, but not in a frightening way. More like a crowd leaning in to listen. The elder began to chant, low, rhythmic, steady, and the other women joined her. Their voices blended with the night breeze, creating a harmony that felt ancient enough to carve shapes in the air. "Why is this happening?" I whispered. But the wind carried my question away. The elder reached down and lifted my hand, placing it on my stomach. "Your child has a destiny outside the village," she said. "A path we cannot change." Her words froze me. "What destiny?" I demanded. "What path? What are you hiding from me?" That was when I heard movement behind me. My husband stepped closer, one careful step, then another. The elders grew silent. He stopped just a few feet away, his face almost unreadable in the moonlight. "I should have told you earlier," he said quietly. "But I was afraid." Afraid. The word echoed in my chest. Afraid of what? I asked. His eyes flicked to the stone. Then to my stomach. Then back to me. "There is a prophecy in my family," he said. "One that speaks of a child born under a red moon, beneath the ancestral stone. A child who would rise to claim a future tied to a powerful lineage." I stared at him, confused, breathless. "My lineage," he added. My heart thudded painfully. "A lineage far beyond this village." The elder beside me inhaled sharply, as if his words carried too much weight. "Your child," he continued softly, "is the one they have been waiting for." The forest seemed to tilt around me. "What do you mean they?" I whispered. Before he could answer, another elder stepped forward. "The prophecy does not speak only of your husband's family," she said. "It speaks of a man of great wealth, from the upper cities, who carries the same bloodline." A chill ran through me. I knew of those stories. Rich men who lived far from the dust of our land. Men with power, influence, and ambition that reached beyond borders. The elder continued. "Such a man will come. He will search for the child. And he will believe the child belongs to him." My knees nearly gave out. My husband rushed forward then, finally breaking the distance, catching me before I fell. His touch was warm, steady, but trembling, the touch of a man who feared he had already lost something precious. "I didn't want this," he whispered. "I didn't want you to be afraid." But it was too late. The truth settled inside me like a heavy stone. My baby, the child I carried, was part of something I did not understand. Something I had never been told. Something my husband had hidden from me. And somewhere, far beyond our village, a billionaire was waiting for a child who matched the prophecy. A child born to me. A child chosen here, on this stone, on this night. I pressed a hand to my stomach, feeling the small, fluttering movement of life inside. And for the first time, terror and love collided in my chest. I knew then. This child would not have a simple life. And neither would I. The forest felt different as we left that night. The wind carried a warning. The moon watched in silence. And the path home seemed longer than ever. As we walked, my husband tried to hold my hand. But my heart was too full of questions and betrayal to let him. I walked alone, even with him beside me. And in the quiet darkness of the village, as we approached our hut, I whispered to myself, "No one will take my child from me. Even if the prophecy said otherwise." For weeks after that night at the ancestral stone, I lived with a shadow in my chest. A shadow shaped like a question I was too afraid to ask. When will he come? When will the man from the prophecy appear? I slept lightly, waking at every sound. I watched my husband carefully, studying every shift in his voice, every silence that hung too heavy. And as my belly grew, so did the tension in our home. It was like living under a sky that never decided whether it wanted to rain. The villagers sensed something too. The women would pause their weaving when I walked past. The men lowered their voices when I went to fill my water pot. And the elders, they watched me with the eyes of people who knew a secret but were forbidden to speak it aloud. I tried to live normally. I tried to pretend my baby was just a baby, my first child, the joy I had waited for. But every kick, every flutter reminded me of the stone, of the whispers, of the prophecy I never asked for. It was near the end of my 8th month when the quiet life of our village was shattered. It happened on a Tuesday morning, just after sunrise. I was grinding millet outside my hut, enjoying the warm light on my skin, when I heard a strange noise, low at first, then growing louder. A deep rumbling, like thunder rolling across the earth. The children ran toward the sound. Goats scattered. Women gasped and stepped back. A cloud of dust rose on the far side of the village, and through it emerged something none of us had ever seen. 3 black SUVs, sleek, shiny, impossibly expensive, rolling across the dirt path like creatures from another world. People froze. No one in our village owned a car, much less a convoy. My heart stopped. A whisper rose among the elders. He has come. The vehicles stopped in the center of the village. The doors opened with a soft thud, and men in suits stepped out, 6 of them, tall, clean-shaven, wearing dark sunglasses that looked absurd under our blazing African sun. Then the last door opened. And he stepped out. The billionaire. He didn't look like the rich men I had imagined. He wasn't old. He wasn't thin. He didn't wear gold or diamonds. He was a tall black African man, broad-shouldered, dressed in a perfectly tailored white shirt and dark trousers. His skin glowed in the sunlight. His watch alone looked like it cost more than our entire village. But it wasn't his wealth that unsettled me. It was his expression. He looked around not with curiosity, but with certainty. As if he had been here before in another life. As if the land itself owed him something. My husband appeared beside me, his breath sharp and unsteady. "Go inside," he whispered. But I couldn't move. The billionaire's eyes swept across the village slowly, over the women, the children, the elders, until finally, they found me. He stopped. His face didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. Belief. Possession. He began walking toward me. The men in suits followed behind him like shadows. My husband stepped forward to shield me, but the billionaire lifted a hand. Not aggressively, just calmly, powerfully. "Let me see her," he said. His voice was deep, smooth, too confident for a stranger in our land. The elders gathered behind me, forming a protective half-circle. "You were not invited here," the oldest said. The billionaire looked at her with a cold patience. "I don't need an invitation," he replied. "The prophecy does not wait for permission." My stomach tightened. The elders tried again. "You have no claim in this village." He smiled, a quiet, devastating smile. "I am not claiming the village," he said. "I am claiming the child." My legs trembled. The entire village gasped as if a wave had passed through them. My husband shouted, "You cannot take what is not yours." The billionaire turned to him, eyes sharp. "Oh, but it is," he said. "If the prophecy is true, the child carries my bloodline as well as yours." I clutched my belly instinctively. "Stay away from my baby," I said. His gaze softened, only slightly, as he looked at me. "You feel the child moving differently, don't you?" he said quietly. "You know this is no ordinary birth. You know the ancestors marked him." I stepped back, shaken. "How do you know anything about my child?" His men opened a case he carried. Inside were papers, photographs, old scrolls, and symbols painted on cloth. Dates that matched my pregnancy. Family lineage trees. Records of births tied to the prophecy. Drawings of the ancestral stone where I had stood. Then he pulled out something that made my heart hammer painfully. A small carved necklace, identical to the one my husband wore the night at the stone. But this one was older, darker, and the symbol on it looked exactly like the mark the elders traced on my stomach during the ritual. My knees weakened. "My family has waited for this child for generations," the billionaire said. "And your husband knew it." I turned to my husband. He froze. He didn't deny it. That silence broke something inside me. "You told him?" I whispered. "Before telling me?" He didn't speak. He didn't need to. His eyes told the truth. The billionaire stepped closer. "I don't want to take your child," he said. "I want to protect him. There are people who will come for him, people far more dangerous than me." He lowered his voice. "Your baby will inherit power, wealth, land, and responsibility. If left unguarded, he will be in danger from the moment he breathes." The baby shifted inside me, almost painfully, as if responding to the tension. I felt dizzy, torn between worlds I didn't understand. Why should I trust you? I asked. Because, he said softly. Whether you trust me or not, the prophecy is already in motion. He pointed toward the forest. And the place where your child was chosen, that place does not lie. The elders murmured in agreement. My husband opened his mouth as if to speak, but no words came out. I held my stomach tightly. The baby kicked again. Everything felt fragile, the air, the ground, my marriage, my future. The billionaire stepped back, signaling to his men. I will give you time, he said. But I will return. The child's destiny is bigger than all of us. He paused. And when the danger comes, you will know why I came today. He turned and walked back to his car. The engines roared. Dust exploded behind them. And just like that, he was gone. Leaving behind silence. Leaving behind fear. Leaving behind a prophecy that now felt like a weight on my chest. I turned to my husband. His eyes were filled with guilt, heavy, dark, unbearable. You lied to me, I whispered. He lowered his head. And in that moment, surrounded by the village, the elders, the dust settling from the billionaire's departure, I felt more alone than I had ever felt in my life. My baby moved again. And I realized. This was only the beginning. The village was quiet after the billionaire left, but it was not a peaceful quiet. It was the kind of silence that follows after lightning strikes the earth. Charged, trembling, heavy with the smell of something burned. People watched me from a distance. Whispers followed me like shadows. Some with pity. Some with fear. Some with the kind of curiosity that feels like a cold hand on your neck. But no one spoke to me directly. Not even the elders. It was as if everyone already knew what I still didn't. My life would never return to what it was. My husband tried to stay close to me all day, but I could feel the wall between us. A wall made of silence, secrets, and the weight of a prophecy I had never agreed to carry. That evening, when the sun dipped low and the sky turned red like glowing embers, I finally spoke. Sit, I said. He obeyed without a word. We sat inside our hut, facing each other. The single fire in the center flickered like it, too, had something it wanted to confess. The air felt thick, like the truth was already in the room, waiting for him to say it aloud. I looked at him, really looked at him. This was the man I had married, the man I had trusted with my life, the man I believed I knew better than anyone. But he had a stranger's eyes that night, full of guilt, fear, and resignation. How long have you known? I asked. He didn't pretend to misunderstand. Since before we married. My chest tightened. You knew this baby, our baby, was part of a prophecy? Yes. You knew that billionaire was looking for him? Yes. You knew he would come? Yes. Each answer cut deeper. Each word felt like a crack in the floor of my world. Why didn't you tell me? My voice was barely more than a whisper. He lowered his head, rubbing his palms slowly against his knees. Because I was afraid you would not marry me, he said. Afraid you would not want this life, this responsibility, this burden. I felt the shock bloom inside me like a bruise. You lied to me to gain a wife, I said quietly. And now you expect me to trust you with a child? His eyes filled with something, shame, regret, desperation. I did not lie to hurt you, he whispered. I lied because I loved you. Love without truth is not love, I told him. It is fear wearing a mask. Silence swallowed the space between us. He looked away, and his voice broke when he spoke again. My father taught me the prophecy when I was young. He said that one day, one of us would father the child who would unite two powerful bloodlines, mine and the billionaire's family. He inhaled shakily. Our families were connected generations ago. They split after a betrayal no one likes to speak of. The prophecy said the child would bring balance, or destruction. I stared at him, stunned. So the billionaire believes the child is his? I asked. He shook his head. No. He believes the child belongs to his bloodline, not necessarily that he fathered him. To him, blood does not mean biology. It means destiny. The fire crackled. I placed a hand on my belly, feeling the soft movement of the baby inside. And what do you believe? I asked. His eyes lifted slowly to mine. I believe the child is ours, he said softly. And I will fight to keep him with us. Something twisted painfully in my chest. You want to protect him now, I said. But you made choices long before he existed, choices that put him in danger. He swallowed hard. Yes, he said. I did. Why? He took a long breath. Before you, he began, I lived a different life. I went to the city, worked there for years, saw things I was not supposed to see. People close to the billionaire made me an offer. A way out, a chance for my family to rise out of poverty. They said if I ever fathered the prophesied child, both families would protect me. My heart sank. So you made a deal, I said. With our child's destiny. I didn't know it would be with you, he whispered. I didn't know I would marry you. I didn't know I would love you. He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. You traded your unborn child for safety, I said. And you traded me for a secret. His voice cracked. I regret it every day. The fire dimmed, casting long shadows on the walls. I stood, unable to bear the weight of his truth anymore. I need air. He rose quickly. I'll come with you. No, I said sharply. Stay. I stepped out into the night. The sky was full of stars, but none felt comforting. The air was cool, but it didn't calm me. The entire village slept, unaware of the storm brewing at the center of my home. A storm born of betrayal, prophecy, and power. I walked toward the edge of the village, toward the forest where everything had begun. The trees whispered softly, their branches swaying like they carried the memory of that night. I touched the bark of one tree to steady myself. I felt small. I felt betrayed. I felt terrified. But beneath all that, I felt something else. A strength I didn't know I had. A mother's strength. A strength that grows when everything else breaks. I placed both hands on my belly. No one will take you from me, I whispered to my baby. No prophecy. No billionaire. No secret. No man. And as I stood there in the darkness, something happened. A single movement inside me, strong, sure, powerful. It felt like a response. It felt like the child understood. I closed my eyes. I didn't know how I would protect my baby. I didn't know what the billionaire would do next. I didn't know whether my husband deserved forgiveness. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I would fight for my child, even if I had to stand against every force in this world. And the night felt that promise. The trees felt it. The wind felt it. The earth felt it. Because something shifted deep inside me. Fear loosened. Courage took its place. And as I walked back toward the village, I said to myself, again and again, this story will not end the way they expect.